Okay, welcome everyone. This is the beginning of our new season, season 4, and with our new name of the podcast being called Music Explained.
Music
And to kick
Explained,
off our
brand
new
new.
season, we have the pleasure of sitting down with Jake Brewer, singer-songwriter whose work has blended heartfelt music as well as alternative pop to create a unique sound in the indie music space. He's not only a musician, but also a podcast host of the groundbreaking podcast, a voice pushing new conversation in the music industry, and his latest music album, Visceral Reactions to My Own Perception, has been turning heads since July 18th. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know I was doing that much. Thank you for reminding me
You
I
are.
have things to do. And then so people are waiting for my response on things. So thank you. I appreciate that polite reminder. That was
Love
awesome.
that so much. Watching you just be like, wait, I did that. I did that. I'm still working on that.
I'm known for not having the best memory.
Okay.
Like I live in New York and I always pass places that are like, oh, I'd love to try there. And my friends are always like, we went there. And I was like, when did we go there? And they're like, for your birthday. And like, it's funny. You get to try things like for the first time all the time. But so that's why I'm laughing as you're like, I was like, when did I do? Oh, I did do that.
Yeah.
I did
I did release that.
Not because it wasn't memorable,
Yeah.
but just because apparently I like to do too much.
Well, I mean, exactly what Usman said. That was a great intro because you do so much from everything that we've seen and learned about you, even in our research. Like, tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started off. So I know you're the head of your talent management group. You have your own podcast. You've done some really impressive like singing, songwriting, obviously, and touring as well. But I want to take it back to the start. It looks like you started with dance, actually, right?
Yes. Well, I'm like, how did you know that? Like, I've never said that publicly before.
I read your press kit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sweet. Okay, great.
I'm familiar.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's at least accurate.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I started, that's what I did growing up. My aunt owns a dance studio. I grew up just outside of Seattle, and I'm the middle child between two sisters. And that was really like because see, we get it. It was just the best time. I grew up just on stages, and every member of the family was involved in putting on shows at Christmas and over the summer. And I think that just like instilled such a love for entertainment and community and rooting for other people and seeing like the joy it brings, my sisters and my family. I mean, my dad was up there dancing. My uncle was up there. Everybody was a part of it.
Family affair.
Total family affair.
Okay.
And I'll have to, make a movie about that or something someday. It was like Dance Moms exist, but it's like not that at all. It's like the Pacific Northwest version of it where like everyone's like crying and caffeinated.
Okay.
And so I love that. That was just kind of instilled in me, all those values. And that's always felt like I had a very nomadic childhood. So that kind of feeling was always sort of home to me. And, you get to an age when you're like, I'm not really as interested in doing exactly what my sisters are doing anymore. So I pivoted a little bit. I tried acting. I'm an awful actor. I just can't do it to save my life.
Yeah.
But then it kind of became music because acting brought me into theater, and I wasn't really. I enjoyed theater, but I knew it kind of wasn't the thing for me, at least at the time. And so I picked up a guitar. No one else in my family was doing that, and it kind of felt like the unique thing that I could kind of do. And I was really stubborn. I didn't like to learn guitar, but I liked to learn enough to write my own songs.
Okay.
So that's what I did. And then I kind of just tried to get better and better and better. And then, we live in the day of you can throw whatever you'd like out on the internet. And then when I went to school, I started making a community, and especially post-college, I think is when I was like, I really enjoyed doing this. I got a little bit more ambitious, a little bit more confident in it, started touring, making friends. I started the last year of school, my artist management company with my best friend. It was a big goal of ours to do an artist management company that was run by artists themselves. I think there's a lot of really unfair practices within music. And so it was my sort of goal to say, well, let's see if we can sort of take the creative lens of an artist and put that right into artist management. And the experience of an artist is how you're being managed. And so that's been a really just sort of like the joy of like my life is doing all of that work. And then alongside of that is how I can just further express what I want to talk about through, yeah, podcasts and even things like this and songwriting and touring's my favorite thing. It just reminds me of growing up being on stages. So that's like the shortest version possible of my life so far. But that's about the key points, I think.
I mean, those are
Nice.
crazy achievements that
Yeah.
you've just like condensed into like the smallest little elevator pitch, which I love. But
I surprised I like talking about it. Yeah.
well, we love hearing about it. I mean, I think there's something that was really interesting that you actually just mentioned as far as starting Friendly Media, I believe, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I love that. I love the way it's like stylized as well that you wrote it out
Oh
too.
yeah, we're too cool for vowels is what I
It's
always say.
And
Yeah.
so cute. I love it.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned that it's like you think that there's some unjust practices in the industry. And something that I also read on the website for Friendly was talking about how you're centered around empowering artists. And I'm sure that that's something your own personal experience has really guided you into how you want to run the company. So, can you speak a little bit to that and how your own experience has kind of formed that company?
Yeah, yeah. I work as a manager to a few different artists right now, and I always tell them every single chance I have that like run your business. You are the CEO of this. I am a part of this to help you do that, to fulfill your vision, to open up opportunity for you, to alleviate certain things that you don't necessarily want to do. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to tell you what to do every single day though. Like, and I at the end of the day it'll always be your word. It doesn't matter if I completely disagree. What you want is what goes. And I think that's just unfortunately a really rare way of forming a relationship within music. I think it really shocked me and surprised me how corporate a lot of entertainment is. Like oddly enough, like because just as
Yeah.
somebody who loves being a fan of things, you kind of feel like and you wish that the artist has sole control, but it's only to the point when you're like when you can really afford to do that and pay a team yourself to do that and sort of really operate just as your own sort of business. And so that's the sort of model that we already adopted within Friendly of, I understand a lot of the artist perspective. I know when, if I have an idea for how to market something and you're like, that doesn't feel like the way I want to talk about this song. Great, end of discussion. Like I know that feeling. I know what that feels like. Even if I think it's the best idea in the world, that's all. You've made your call and I know what that would be like to be pushed to do something that doesn't feel right in the art that you're making. And at the end of the day, long story, like that is going to serve us so much better than like a short-term gain. And I really sort of focus with all the artists I work with on longevity in their career about even if now is just building certain skills, if now is just playing a little bit of a bigger show, a little bit of a bigger show, or just like we don't have to be overnight successes. We don't like that is too much pressure to put on yourself every single day.
Yeah.
And so I really just like to try to break it down for them. But it's also really fun then when, if they're recording for a month, like that's when I'll go tour my own music for a month. And then I learn all these things or I meet these people that, and then when I'm on tour with them in a later month, I'm like, I know how this works. And so I always said I kind of learned, despite never going to school for this, I learned music business and entertainment like almost double time because
Sure.
I'm sort of working all these different sides of it at once. And then I'm also like learning how you actually start a company at the same sort of time. And then even just like valuable things like I see so many different quotes and requests and I know what it's normal to be paid for that sort of thing. And so I know whether I'm advocating for myself or for them, like, nope, I know you're trying to undersell us on that. Like she's worth more than that. Like I need to. And so I think it's really overwhelming a lot of the times. And I'm really, really grateful that the artists that I work with respect that balance
Mhm.
and at least enjoy that that's the sort of working relationship and how much freedom they have. And I don't know, I think I always say like I'm happy with it right now. If all of it ended today, I would be so proud of all the work. And I think that's a really just nice spot to be operating in because it feels like every day is further than you ever thought you'd get.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Beautiful, beautiful words. Very well said.
Yeah.
It's like it's the
Wow.
thing that makes me like the happiest.
Yeah.
Like it's just bringing people together and supporting other people. Like I'm known for like I will cry every single time they're playing on like a stage that they've dreamed of or something. Like it just gets to be a part of something that means something to somebody. Like
Mhm.
that is like the best gift you can give to. Yeah, I mean I could talk for hours about that if you can't tell, but it's
Please,
my
we love
favorite
No,
thing in
that.
the
yeah.
world.
we're open to that.
I know.
If you want to
Great,
talk for
great.
hours, we're here. I think there's something so incredible and special about how you show that love to the artist, right? You can tell, and I think it's so clear, like in everything in life, you can tell when somebody's doing something for a paycheck and when somebody's doing something, just for, clout or fame or whatever it is, but there's no real like deep, this is my purpose. This is something that drives
Yeah.
me and makes me want to get out of bed every single day. And I think it's obvious. I think
Yeah.
it's usually apparent where people are almost trying to force these things.
Yeah.
And it's so clear that that's not who you are. You care. And that's why
Yeah.
you're successful.
I mean, we've done a few things for a check every once in a while.
Well,
I'm gonna be honest.
You still have to
But-
live in the world and make
Yes.
money. Like, sure.
But no, you're exactly right. Like, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world when I get to wake up and be like, what are we gonna do today? What are we gonna create today? What opportunity are we gonna find today? And it really like breaks my heart so many times when you meet other artists that kind of feel like they're pushing the other like side of that. Like we're all working towards a similar thing, but it kind of feels like it's me against the world kind of thing. And then it's like, why are we already framing the world against you? Like, and I was like, versus us is like, well, maybe just the world needs to be aware. And I always say, we always tell each other, and they'll even tell me back at me of, you're never going to get anything you don't ask for. And so like the days of, when it's framed in our mind of the Justin Bieber, you put something out on YouTube and you just wait and you see that everybody does that now. Everybody does that millions of times a day. So like you just go up and you ask. And some of the best and most exciting opportunities of my life have been, I just asked and I said, I really want to do this. Will you give me the chance? And most of the times it's kind of like refreshing to hear somebody really like push and fight for something. And so that usually gets some doors opened. Easier said than done. And that's the simplest way of saying that as possible. There's a lot of caveats to that, but that's my sort of advice that I always give is just, you have to ask nothing. Just expect nothing to be served to you.
Yeah. The answer is always going to
Yeah.
be no if you don't bother putting it out there.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
And
right.
What's the phrase that people use all the time? Like closed mouths don't get
Get
fed.
that?
Yeah.
Like completely agreed with that. And
Yep.
so many people, especially in music, especially in the arts as a whole, so many people want the success there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you can build something out of it, it's such an incredible life to like, live out your dream doing this. And
Yeah.
with that, you have to open your mouth.
Yes. And I think it's always healthy to adapt your idea of success too. And like people always be like, I always think this of younger me would be like just in awe of what you were doing now.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'd be like, whoa, I made it, but like because like it's in us to always sort of push and sort of look for the next thing. Like you always have to kind of remind yourself like, no, like I don't know, you paid your rent with music.
Right.
That's really like that is something so many people work to. Like that is amazing to be able to do that. That is a really difficult, hard thing to do. Like let yourself soak in a little bit of that pride and sit in that and let it be sort of fuel to push you to keep going, but also feel really proud of the work that you've done, or else you're going to totally tire yourself out.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's Go
yeah.
ahead.
So it sounds like you take time to reflect on what you accomplished and how far your journey has been, and things that you were able to do and what you're able to teach other people as well. Do you actually take time to reflect? Do you journal? Do you encourage other people to journal as well to get your thoughts out there?
Yeah, I think journaling worked for me in sort of bits and points of my life. I think when I'm really trying to actively songwrite, that's when journaling is really helpful. Honestly, I think when my sort of reflection comes, because so much of my daily life is focused around music and creativity and productivity, my biggest reflection sort of happens when I'm like, okay, done. Like I'm going to make dinner with my friends. I'm doing this, or I'm going to go on a hike with my parents, or I'm going to go visit my sisters, or I'm going to do, and then kind of once you really slow down, is when you realize that's how fast you were going and like you weren't going to ever have a reflection sort of in that moment. So I really tried to, and it's hard sometimes. It can be addicting to be pushing and fighting, especially when it's fun and you're surrounded by good people. But like, I have to stop doing that every once in a while. And it's nice to be around friends and family that aren't in entertainment at all. Cause then it like really sort of like you remember, oh, there is a rest of the world here. And it just reminds you like, oh, I'm also a human too. And so I think those sort of pieces are really helpful. And then my favorite part of the day is I'm an early riser. And so I like just to exercise, do the New York Times crossword, something in the morning,
Mhm.
just with my coffee. And it's always like 6 a.m., 6 a.m. to 7. That's when nobody's talking to me. And that's
Yes.
my
Yeah.
my favorite time of the day. And I found this out sort of recently, is like you need those sort of moments to be reflective and like I'm a human too. I work with multiple clients, I work with producers, I work with people who need things from me. And it's a joy to sort of provide, but at the same time you also need to do something in your day that is just for yourself. And I think doing that so early reminds me that like no matter what happens the rest of the day, I've already kind of
Mhm.
reminded myself that I'm worth my own time too. So I think that's also a reflective moment that I probably have, and maybe don't associate it totally with that, but that's probably what it's doing.
Yeah, I would agree as well. And there's a quick win too, like to start your day, to know that you got
Yeah.
something done. It's probably just puts you in a great mood for the rest of the day. That it's like, oh nope, I was able to get like my workout in, my coffee,
Yeah.
crossword puzzle done. I'm ready. I'm set for the day. I'm ready to go. Whatever comes my way, I can handle, and then
Yep.
keep moving forward. Which
Yep.
is a great feat to have as well.
That
Yep.
also
And then
reminds me of what's the other I'm coming up with, like, all the phrases today. I, like,
I love
feel
it.
like a
I love it.
book of quotes. But what's the one where it's like, you can't pour from an empty cup? So,
Yeah.
like, especially if you are I didn't come up with that one. I wish I could take credit
I'm
for
fully
that
like,
one.
yeah, yeah, you did. I was like, that
Yes,
was great.
I did. I wish I could say that I did. I definitely heard it somewhere, but I don't know who to credit for it. But 10 out of 10 work on that one because
Yes.
it's so true. Like, I find in my day-to-day life, and like clearly same for you, like it is so easy when you're doing a lot of output and supporting other people and uplifting other people, and that's what you want to do and what like brings you joy. There's some days where I get home and I'm like, "Ah, I just need to collapse." Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so wiped, I'm so exhausted, and finding like those small, even like tiny little things to just center around yourself as like an act of self-care, I think can really change that.
Yes. Yep. No, 100%. 100%. And I think that's something that you sometimes learn a little too late too. And then you sort of come around and get there. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
It's
kinda tend to learn it, I think, after, like, experientially when you're like, "I'm really drained now. Like, I need to do
yeah.
something, otherwise, like, I have no battery."
Yeah. And when you have less guilt about it too. That was like a hurdle I had to come over of like then feeling guilty for
Me
doing
too.
things for yourself or taking time for yourself of like especially within like sort of artist management of like there's always something you can do. Like the work is never done. And so to be like, I am going to go to the movies tonight, there's that thought in the back of your mind will always be like, oh, but you could, like, you could. Like, no. And sometimes you really do have to treat it like a typical 9 to 5 job. And some days I'm good at that, some days I'm not. But like, sometimes it's like, nope, I am pretty good. Like, I don't work before 9. Like, kind of like we were saying, like, that's my time. Like, I will do everything after 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So is
healthiest way
that
to do it.
Yeah. So is that how you keep the balance between your own type of work where you're writing songs and then also the strategy aspect of like managing different artists who also have like multiple like different personalities as well that you have to juggle? How do you keep that balance knowing that I also have a career that I want to pursue, but I also will need to manage these artists that are under our organization as well?
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's something that I'm not perfect at by any means. But I think what it comes down to is making sure that the people that you work with have the respect for the other work that you need to do as well, which I'm really, really just grateful that everybody I work with understands that like I'm gonna be in sessions myself. I'm doing this because that is what makes my heart beat too, is that's just the shared thing and another thing we have in common. And so I think it's easier for them to sort of go, okay, I get why you need to go do that. But you know, you have to be really efficient of I'm so lucky I get to do so many different things, but the cost of that is okay, if I know I'm going to be in a session from 12 to 7 and we have, I have this sort of campaign that I need to roll out, or this thing that we need to draft, or I need to make sure that all of that is done prior to noon. And so then you're like, great, am I going to do that before? Am I going to do that after? I got to communicate when I'm going to do that, because if it's not happening at the typical time, I want them to know that I'm not dropping the ball on that. So it's really a day by day basis, and that's kind of why I really love it too. No day has ever looked or felt the same than the last, and it's a blast. And honestly, I think it's what actually keeps me so energized, being like, oh, it was fun to, I got to go to a writing session for a few hours. I come out of that and I go, I have ideas. I feel fulfilled here. I want to then keep this creative energy going, and I want to work on, this rollout thing with you. Or it made me think that, like, oh, this is a great idea for Annie, one of the clients I work with, or this is a great idea for Jillian, the other one. Like that kind of is what fuels me. And I think that's why it also feels so communal in a way
Mhm.
too. And then it makes us kind of feel like we're all supporting each other, which, again, talk about rarity in entertainment, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I also feel like that aspect of it, the community aspect of it, is starting to shift. I feel like a lot of artists, especially new artists, are staying away from like a record label
Hmm.
and are deciding to go independent and working with other independent artists and kind of create this, well, I want to say collaboration, in a sense that if we all work together, we all can grow together. And then most likely someone will pop, but then they'll all bring us up with them as well. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a common trend I'm seeing in the music space. Not sure from your perspective if you've seen that as well. And what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think so too. I'm a very visual person. And it's like, where there used to be a sort of gate. It's like that gate is kind of old and rusty now. And if you look really closely, you can find enough space between the bars and slip through yourself. And it's like, it's only a matter of that time for why is that gate even there? And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I'm hoping to do. But I love seeing that, because I think that's why so much of our favorite art recently kind of derives from that. It's because artists have so much control then of like your entire career and what people are flocking to. And I also think the other side of that then is, I think fans and audiences are so aware of when that happens. So much education around how music works has happened, especially over the last decade. And so for us to kind of go, I love seeing an artist when like they just kind of like have like the moment, and then they handle it really well, and they're like, you can tell they've been working and grinding for this. Like I get so much joy in my heart. And it's like when you watch your friends like run a race or something. I'm
Yeah.
in my late 20s, so like everyone's doing that now. And you're like, and you're cheering people on, and there's like, this just feels so good. It's almost like I'm doing it myself, just because it makes me so happy. And that it's, you're gonna inspire other people to like go run that race too, and show that you don't need so many shiny things to do your dream. I think that's such a positive sort of spin, because you don't want your goals and your aspirations to be conditional of somebody else's approval in any sort of way, which is kind of what we were doing prior to, the
Yeah.
sort of indie do it yourself sort of method. And so I agree. And I think it's making me really optimistic.
Listen, I don't know what it is, but approaching your late 20s, early 30s to get you to start running. But it is a common
Who is
thing.
doing PR for marathons?
Yeah.
Because
Our
I would
PR
like to
people are so
hire
good.
them, actually. Yeah.
I have
They're
friends
so
who's like,
good.
yeah, I've done 4 marathons this year. I'm looking at them like,
What?
what do you mean? Why are you running so much? What's
That's
going
crazy.
on?
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
no. You
I
like,
didn't even know that. That's
yes.
wild.
You guys are like, yeah, I just
No.
run. I like running. I'm like, you run too much, but hey, it's how you work out. It's how they work out. So I get it. And more power to you. So
Yep. Yep. I love that for
For you
them.
guys.
for you.
You guys
Yeah.
have fun with that.
I'll be cheering you on after 9 a.m.
Yes.
If it's before then, you're not going to see me.
No.
But I wish you the best.
Yeah.
It's your own time, pre 9 a.m. Well, I want to speak kind of going off of what Usman was just talking about with some of the collaborative energy in space right now. I want to talk about some of the kind of like collaborative works that you've done in your own songwriting. And you spoke about how much you love touring. And I saw you've toured with some very, very cool acts. I know I saw David Archuleta called out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really cool stuff. Like, can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. I love touring so much, and performing is in my blood since, my my mom and my aunt, and then growing up doing the dance, like that is my heart and soul is doing all of that. And performing is such a collaborative, like you can very rarely do it alone. And even if you're up on stage alone, there's a sound person, there's a door person, there's somebody managing a crowd, there's somebody marketing that, there's likely somebody that booked that. It is a very, very collaborative event always. And so I love that in the way, you know, you can physically see people come together. What gets me sort of really excited is thinking about different ways to innovate around live performance and how to do things differently. The company that I helped found, Friendly, we did, it's been on hiatus for maybe about a year or two now, but we used to do a music festival because I was really passionate about giving people a stage to perform on who maybe hadn't been on one before. Because there's a kind of like a catch 22 of, you know, to play a music festival, you need to have played a music festival before, which makes absolutely no
Yeah.
sense. So I was like, well, why don't we make our own music festival? And who's going to say it's not a music festival? And then give people the opportunity and to play for new audiences, a different venue, some sort of thing to get them excited. And so those few times that we've done that, that's been some of my proudest evenings that we've helped produce. But I also love the flip side of that when I feel like I'm the person that gets to learn in environments. The most recent example I have is working on the album that you guys mentioned that just came out over the summer. That was a really fun collaborative process for me because I did the whole album with Torna here in Brooklyn, and he just taught me so much. And it was really, really rare. And I feel so lucky to have found him because he was somebody who knew how to improve what I was writing, knew how to respect the words that I'd written, push me without making me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. Like every single time it was like, you can do this, you can try this. It's because I knew I could. I just didn't know to try it, which was really, really unique. And I felt so, so lucky to work with him. I got to work with a ton of really amazing session artists. The entire album is live instruments, which was something I was really excited to do just because it sounds like a live show. I think when you listen to it, even all the quirks, you can hear the piano creak, all of those sort of little beautiful elements that I think really make the album something whole. So I got to work with my friend Cassiel McAvoy. She did all of that remotely in LA. I sent some songs to her and she wrote some beautiful stringing arrangements. Zach Coe here in
So
Brooklyn is an
impressive.
amazing drummer. And every time he came in, he just was like, I really love this song. Like, thank you for letting me be a part of it. And I was just like, how I was amazed that things that I had written by myself could then find, you know, an inspiration in Ronnie who produced it or in Cassiel over in LA, and to bring people together and do something and then listen to it back and you'd be like, this is something that I wrote about how I feel, but so many people have then contributed to this. Like I explain it, but it can't be put into words the way it feels. And so that collaborative element is so exciting to me. And then I guess one of the other collaborations is the band that I play with here in New York. And I just think there's the most talented guys. And I don't get how lucky I am to have them who are passionate about things, who put up with my random ideas. And I always want to like try different things and mash things together. And they really sort of allow me that creative playground to not just go, great, I'm going to play this song, this song, this song, this song. Like they go, okay, Jake, what are you going to do to craft this show? Because I know you're going to always try to do that. And so I just feel really lucky to have found people and to have built and proven that they can trust me. And I've gotten to that point in those relationships. I think it's what really keeps me going because I worry if I had not found that, I don't know what I'd be doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so apparent just from chatting with you through the show right now. Like, you are so outgoing and so bubbly and like bring such a positive energy. So it's clear to me how easy it would be for you to find people to collaborate and really connect with your work. And I think even kind of diving deeper into your visceral reactions to my own presence, because I think that that's such a cool name
Yeah.
for your
Oh,
sophomore
thanks.
album. Super, super interesting. I also really love the cover art as
Oh,
well.
Yeah.
thanks. Oh, yeah. And Susie McKeon is the photographer, one of my really great friends. She was an amazing collaborator on that. Took all the
Super
artwork.
cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I highly recommend everybody check it out. I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of the vulnerability that I think is a big piece of your personal work. And that's something that you're known for in your songwriting.
Yeah.
What This is like such a lofty, like big question. So feel free to like bring it down a little bit. But what inspires these tracks? obviously much of your own life experience, I would assume, but be so vulnerable is like, I think really a strength. And it's not something everybody's comfortable doing in their own work.
Yeah, thank you for those really, really kind words, and I appreciate you listening and looking, and
Of course.
that always makes me really excited. This album specifically, I really wanted to address one relationship, and that's the relationship with myself. And I kind of going into it, I didn't really know how to approach it. And then I think this was maybe a few couple of years ago now. I wrote the song Heavier Things, which is the first song I put out from the album. And that just kind of sparked something in me that felt like it was really refreshing to write literally and to write transparently and to not overthink this. And so that kind of propelled me. And then I just started like snowball writing, and I kind of decided like these sort of messages that I really wanted to portray of like how I felt. And I always kind of describe this album as like different sort of freeze frame moments of like if you had all the time in the world to actually think about how you felt in that moment, what would you get to? And then shrink that down into 3 minutes, and you try to make an arc in every single song. And so that was really fun. I didn't write many songs for the album, but I rewrote it many, many times because I wanted everything to be like kind of just sit perfectly, kind of like a puzzle. You're like, okay, great, these pieces all work together, but how is the perfect way that they fit? And I think every time something sort of clicked, I was really excited to bring it into those sessions and be like, great, here's a song I wrote called mainly about how it doesn't matter what anybody ever says to me. I will never ever think that I am better than the last person that they hooked up with or whatever. Like that will never ever get like, and that is how I'll be stubborn. And we need to write a song about that. And I did.
Yeah.
And that was a fun thing to be like, great, what a kind of awkward sort of thing to mention. But then I love being like, great, how do we make it something that you can like nod your head to? And like, how
Yeah.
does this? And then I love sort of like masking things in sort of different ways of like, I love it when people listen to Manly and be like, that's such a fun song. And you're like, yeah, fun. It totally
Right.
is. Because then it teaches you so much about the way people then consume and listen to your music versus then I got to play in LA over the summer, and the guy on sound came up to me after and was like, that Manly song, he was like, he's like so like dark and so sentimental. And I was like, it's funny of the way different we listen to music differently and what we sort of take, and whether you listen to the sound or the production or the lyrics. And so that's where I had a lot of fun making this album. And I knew it was done just because I loved it. And every other thing that I'd released, it was kind of like it was done when it was like, here, everybody, listen to it. Versus like I sat on the album and I was like, it's done. And I almost would have been fine if it never came out, just
Really?
because I loved it so much. And I really forced myself to think really critically about a lot of thoughts, feelings, relationships, all of those sort of things in really dark, transparent ways that I was like, I'm almost going to tell myself this doesn't have to come out if you don't want it to. And it never got to that point where I was like, this needs to reel back. But like, I loved things and I'm like, great. My parents are going to hear that. Like, awesome. My sisters are going to hear that one. And
It's
like, and
fun.
maybe somebody could put the pieces together to figure out who this is about. But like, I have never given myself such permission to be just so straightforward. And I really liked this idea of like, that just like a feeling that encompasses your entire body of just like, whether you're proud of that feeling, disgusted by that feeling. And I just fell in love with the word visceral. And I was like, and then
It's a
I was like,
cool word.
Yeah.
this is where this is coming from. And the 9 songs are like my favorite I've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah.
How
I really
long
enjoyed
did
the
it
album.
take you?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. It's weird hearing I'm like, ooh, wait, will you listen to it? How? Is what I still like
Yeah.
forget like music's out there. Thank you for listening to it though. That was very kind.
Yeah. The
How long did it take you to get from start to finish? Because when I looked at like, obviously you started in the arts when you were young and it's kind of traversed its way through all of these different mediums. But it looks like your initial album that you released was back in 2022. So you've had a
Yeah.
real growth in just a few years.
Yeah, I post college has been the most wild, wonderful time of my life. Just being able to experience so many different things. It feels like every month I don't recognize who I was the last month in the most beautiful way. And this album, I think it probably took about like 6 months. Heavier Things we did way before the rest of it because I went on tour and then I did a bunch of different things. Then I was like, great, let's finish this album.
Yeah.
And so that took about 6 months, but it was also really fun for me, and maybe it's come across like I love multitasking, different things at a ton of different times, but I really kind of forced myself. I'd be like, "Great, no shows, no nothing, just because I don't wanna play a show and think, 'Well, how is that song that we worked on yesterday gonna work with this?'" I didn't wanna let myself go there. And so it was really just like a sort of intensive 6 months of, and it's New York winter, and I was like, "Great," I was grumpy all the time. I was like, "How am I gonna make a summer album?" Like, in the middle of winter as I'm, like, trudging through the snow to a session, but
Yeah.
it was really fun, and I think being in that studio with Ronnie, who produced it, was just so comforting. We would just talk for hours. We would play songs for hours. We would just listen to other music for hours, and it was really fun. I'm really proud of the time that we took to make it.
That is awesome. That's
6 months is so intensive. I
yeah.
feel like I've heard so many stories from artists that are like, "Oh, yeah, like, that song I initially wrote 10 years
Yeah,
ago, and then I,
yeah,
like, dug it out of my closet and finally revisited it." So I
yep.
don't even know with, like, just the amount of work that you do, not only in your own act and your own artistry, but with others. I'm like, "Do you sleep? Like, how can you do it?"
I think I'm somebody who likes to create too. I'm really impatient and I'm really stubborn. And so if I write something I like, I go, we got to work on it now. Or if I experience the thing that makes me want to write about that, like let's roll with that, because I'm such a fan of artists who not only write great music but deliver it really well.
Yeah.
Like I love listening to how an artist says something, whether their voice shakes on this one thing, whether they like, if they do something that doesn't feel like the obvious choice for what that word is. All of those sort of delivery quirks are something that I love and I obsess over. And I think you get the most natural and interesting versions of that when the feeling is fresher. So that's also why I was
Absolutely.
like, if I'm gonna dive in and think about myself critically, I don't want to do it for years. I'd rather just do a solid 6 months, you know?
Can't do too much of that. That's
No,
too much
no,
of an extended therapy session.
yeah. A deluxe album would have taken us to a darker place, my friends. So yeah.
We get short and sweet,
Yeah.
but all of the content
Yeah.
is incredible, and it's an awesome work. There's
Thanks.
Yeah.
there's something that I wanted to touch on too. You just used the word obsess over, and I wanted to ask you if you ever find yourself falling into perfectionism with any of the work that you do.
Yeah. I think that's a typical thing for creatives to do is like, fine tune it till it's perfect. That is not me. I would so much rather be done with something than have something be done well, which is like something I should never say as somebody who's trying to pitch you to like listen to the music. Like that, why would you be, or maybe it's interesting. You're like, great. He didn't like, he
Yeah.
said it was done. He didn't like, but I find that like the more sort of you go through it, in my own sort of personal experience, not just that everybody does this, is it probably just ends up being more commercialized of like, great, I'm gonna make this more digestible. I'm going to, make this sound more like something that will like ease people into who I am. But I know I said I rewrote the album a ton of times. So that was just to make sure I had the right feeling or the words meant actually what I was saying. I didn't really want to change what I was saying, but how it was said.
Mhm.
And so I think somebody told me that I prefer progress over perfection. And I thought that was a very mean thing to say at first,
No.
but now I actually really own it, and I like it, and I know it kind of gives me the permission to move on when I'm like, great,
Mhm.
not feeling this anymore, done. Or like that song that I wrote last month, it doesn't sort of float in my orbit anymore. So maybe it'll come back, but it probably won't. And that's great.
And that's
And
fine.
that's okay. And I
Yeah.
think that's what also kind of keeps me on my feet too, and remembering like you create your best work every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So why not?
that's true. I feel like every day is
Damn.
very much a clean slate, and
Hmm.
there's newness to every day. And if you're kind of stuck on the past, and also you can tweak things like way too much, in my personal opinion. Like you can look at
Oh yeah.
something, and if you listen to something over and over, it's like, what if I change that note? What if I change this key? Like
Yeah.
there is I agree with your perspective on maybe it could almost end up being too commercialized because obviously people want viral moments, people want success in the industry, and that kind of gets into like chasing doing it a certain way to make it be more digestible.
Yeah.
But I feel like there will always be some person on the internet or some person to consume your art and be like, that's not for me. And it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
you're entitled to that, but
Yeah.
I'm not making this for you. I'm making it for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and or just people that want to listen to it. I know by all means. I did not seek out an album that everybody loved. That by no means was that what I was trying to do. Because if I was doing that, I would have been in that studio for hours going, let me do it again, let me do it again. Like, ew, why did I say that word that way? But then it'd be like, well, you've said that word that way every single take so far. So obviously you are doing it intentionally.
Yeah.
And so you just have to basically fight yourself to not try to make something that's already been done, because that's our instinct.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of proves that you're more true to yourself
True.
and your own individuality and who you are as a person than just creating something for the masses, which
Yeah.
for me is like a positively differentiating factor.
Yeah. Or at least I'm interested in figuring that out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I know it fully yet, but I think I know you have to kind of do those sort of things to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounds
Absolutely.
like the story or picture is that you want to paint is you're raw and honest in the music that you're making. And if people can hear that, they also feel it in the vocals, the lyrics as well, that they resonate with it, especially now with everything being digitalized. And we're heading towards AI, everything. Everything that's being
Yeah.
pumped out is AI. So if people, I think, are eventually gravitate back to wanting something that is raw and honest in their reality of music and the creative space as a whole, that if you're playing out there, they'll naturally gravitate towards that in down the future.
Yeah. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe in a few years we'll be like, he should have just gone with AI.
Yeah.
Like he probably shouldn't have done that himself. But anyway, it's I call this album like a very much a time capsule in my life. Like
Yeah.
I think whether I'm, enjoying talking to my kids one day about it, or we're just sitting around the table laughing at it, either is a good thing in
Yeah.
in my book.
Yeah.
I love that. The two songs I think you mentioned already. So Manly was number one, and then Heavier Things, my two favorite songs from the album itself. But I wanted to talk about Manly because I watched the music video.
God, yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on like how the, I guess, creative like concept of that story, what sparked it, how, what was the original thought behind it, of like
Yeah.
the video itself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so nobody's asked me about the video yet. So this is fun.
First
This
for
is
everything.
fun. Yeah. I remember when we were making the song, I said, I was like, by the way, this video is gonna be a sexy car wash. And everyone's like, okay, we're not making the video right now. We're making the song. So let's just but I like attached on to that idea. And I liked it a lot because I really wanted to sort of make fun of just the different ways that you sort of like feel hot and then I thought it'd be kind of funny to be like trying so hard to be that. And I was like, I'm not afraid to make a video where people watched it and were like, dude, it's not that serious. Like, relax. Like, I wanted to really be the butt of the joke in this video, and I think we came up with this whole sort of casting call idea for it to like cast like this sort of manly type. And we had just a bunch of different guys come, and they all, no matter what they did, it was like, oh yeah, like yeah, perfect, great. But no matter what I did, it just was like, doesn't work like that. But like I wanted you to be like, dude, just actually stop trying, this isn't for you. Like, why are you forcing this so hard? And I got excited doing that sort of piece because that's how I felt myself, of like, why, like I am pushing like for something, but nobody else is seeing that. But what if the music video sort of flipped that and
Yeah.
said, we are seeing this now, of like you are trying, like it's just not for you. The part's not for you. It doesn't mean you're not any of these things. You're just
Mhm.
not what they're looking for. And it was fun to like think of sort of like, that's what actors always say is like, you just weren't right for the part. It doesn't mean that you weren't like good. It just, you weren't exactly what they were looking for their specific idea of something. And so there's nothing to do with being manly or not. It just is, that's their sort of definition of being manly. But I also just wanted to sort of lighten up the song like a little bit too. And the day that we filmed that car wash, it was the coldest day I may have ever felt in my life. Just, it was funny too, because we were inside. It was like a beautiful April day in New York. And it was like, yeah, 80 degrees. We were inside. I was like sweating in that studio. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to go outside. The second we go outside, like just wind tunnel for hours. There's a part of it where I'm on top of the car. I kid you not, I was shaking, shaking, shaking. And then they'd be like, okay, action. I just was so like, I've never suppressed a feeling so much of like, you're warm, you're warm, you're warm right now. And so making that video, it was a lot of fun. And I got to really kind of be myself, especially after making an album that was so kind of serious, making something that kind of felt like you could chuckle at and be like, this guy needs to relax. That's funny because that's kind of the essence of the album is you actually can relax. It's not that serious.
Yeah. Now you explain that, I do see that come across in the music.
You're like, that did not come across,
No,
dude.
it does. It does. It does. And it's funny because I'm watching the guys who were in the video, like the stronger guys, like who were like buffer, like flex
Yeah,
in front of like, and the girls is like, oh my God, yes, I love it. I love it.
yeah,
And it was exactly what they were looking for. So like your concept does come across in the video, and you were like, I'm a singer, and they were like, anything else? And he's like,
yeah,
well, I'm a singer. Like, that's my talent. Like, and he was like, well, I could
yeah.
dance. And then he started dancing in the video. I was like, oh God, no.
No, yeah, it's supposed to be cringy. And you're like, oh God, like, dude, just get out of there. Like, this is not it. It's not it for you. It's not it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was funny. It was fun, entertaining video to watch
I'm
outside.
glad.
The story does make sense. I think there's a bigger concept of the like life as well. Like if things not heading in your direction, whether that's work, your personal relationship, like maybe it's not for you and you can take a pivot to something else and head in a different direction. So it is deeper meaning behind it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. If you let go of the rejection, there's something else sort of out there. Wow. Okay. I love next video. I'm going to come back to you. You've got, you've got the
Creating
conceptualizing
directors,
mind.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Well, he'll be a consultant. I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, love it.
Perfect. I need it. I need it.
So I want to switch gears a little bit because you are a host, a podcast host yourself as well.
Yeah.
So the podcast is called, for those listening, Groundbreaking. Give it a chance to learn from like other creators as well. So I wanted to see what insight from the guests that you've had on your podcast that really struck and stuck with you to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, that podcast is some of the most fun I've ever had. We've been on hiatus for it for a little bit now just because I wanted to make the album and I really wanted to devote time to tour that. I'm always thinking of ways to sort of bring it back in a different sort of light. It started off as a sort of COVID sort of project of mine, and I just wanted to talk to a bunch of different people starting different businesses, and then I kind of pivoted more to music to make it a little bit more friendly oriented and to really kind of pull back the curtain on a lot of things that I've learned just working in music and making sure that those lessons got translated into a more digestible format that you didn't necessarily have to walk in the shoes of to learn from yourself. I'm a big fan of sharing knowledge that way. And I think I just remember in the sort of most recent episodes that we recorded, just thinking for how silly I was to think that I knew it all and to think that I knew how things worked and what different sort of jobs were like. And I work with people, booking agents all the time, and I never have had a conversation with one that wasn't specifically about the work that we were engaging in with each other.
Mhm.
And so it was really fun to hear like, oh, you guys are actually really busy people. Sorry for thinking that all you had to do all day was reply to me. That was bad on my part. I
Yeah.
apologize for that. I got to talk to playlist curators, and I remember thinking like, I don't know, I just make playlists all the time, but like, no, like they made it, this is now like an art. And it's amazing. Like for somebody to be like, I love how people listen to music, but then not appreciate people who are sharing the way that they listen to music.
Mhm.
Like
Absolutely.
anytime I can be like humbled and like sort of knocked down a few pegs, I'm really like grateful for. And those conversations got me to do that. But I also was really hopeful publishing all of those, making it a little bit more normalized to be like, oh, cool. I don't know this. And that's okay. I don't need to pretend that I don't. It's just totally fine. Even if you've been working in some industry for decades and years or whatever, you're not going to know everything. We don't need to pretend like we do. You can ask questions, you can misunderstand. That is okay. Nobody's expecting you to. And that was really my goal of that. And I think one of my biggest takeaways. And I told myself in between albums that would come back,
Hmm.
but I want to make sure when it comes back, I do it really, just do it justice in a way that kind of brings all those points and makes them even more solidified than they were before. I've got ideas. Don't worry.
Okay.
We're counting on that.
Yeah.
Great. Great. Put that pressure on me.
We will.
Me.
We're
Remind me
gonna
that needs to
hound
happen.
you. We will.
Great. Great. That's how it'll get done.
Yeah. I think there's like something so beautiful about the fact that like everybody's individual life experience kind of like informs how they go through life. And I think that there is something to be learned from everyone. Like if
Yes.
somebody has a similar role to you in the music industry, maybe they see things completely differently and you never thought about doing it this way or perceived it in that way, but you can have that moment of like understanding
Yeah.
and working and sharing that with them, and it can change you to do something differently or see things a new way.
Yeah. And that's the point, by the way, is to learn and
Yes.
evolve and collaborate. And it can feel so unintuitive sometimes, but you're exactly right.
People get I think that that's just kind of like a symptom of some of the things that you see in like the current climate in the current world is like people being selfish. And I think that that's something that's so valuable on the flip side to see people really like there are groups of people that want to collaborate and want to help and want to be supportive of each other. I'm sure, especially in the industry, there are so many people that are like, oh no, I don't want to share this knowledge with somebody that's up and coming that could really learn from me because I don't want them to take my spot. I don't want to feel like they're going to end up like dimming my shine. And I personally believe that there's room for everybody to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say it's not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Somebody's success does not take away from and the best way I always sort of, I guess, try to explain this is like, think about how many concerts you go to.
Mhm.
Like, you don't only ever go see one artist in concert.
No, they're all
You go,
different.
people are fans of multiple art. Like,
Yeah.
there is enough love, enough support to go around if you can make that sort of connection with folks. And that's the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you only
Another
listen to one thing your entire life, like I
yeah.
can't imagine you'd lose your mind.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Although there's some artists I think I'd be pretty not missing. I'd be happy not missing a show, but
Yeah.
I love seeing. That's the other thing too. Oh my God, like as an artist, like the best thing is just to go see a ton of shows, as many as you possibly can, not only to support other people and invest sort of in your own local creative community, but also just to like to see people and go like, I love the way that they did that. Or I think about that. Or I think of ideas for writing here, listening to other songs because I like the way that they said that. And so I think about, well, how would I say that? Like that's how you find inspiration. So go to so many shows. That's always my advice too to everybody.
Do you have any that you would say were like, I know this is tough to decide, I'm sure, but
But yeah,
any that have been like huge as like a needle mover to you specifically that you absolutely loved?
yes, yes.
Give me a list of 100 of them right now.
Yeah, great. One of my favorite shows I've ever seen, I saw Bleachers at Pier 17 here in New York. And that was like, it was just one of those like beautiful summer nights. And like a band of that energy, it made me be like, oh, I'm going to have a brass section one day. I'm
Yeah.
going to. Like, that needs to happen.
I love a brass section.
It sells it for me. I saw Olivia Dean recently too.
Okay.
My good, like, done deal. Like, just like, just seeing people who are like born to do what they were do. Seeing people do what they were born to do.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. That's so fulfilling. And then my favorite songwriter is Ryan Beatty, and
Oh yeah, he's cool.
he is just amazing. And I saw him play, I think last summer at the Bowery Ballroom, And it just was like totally opposite of it. It's just like him sitting down, a few band members, and it just was like the most captivating like hour and a half ever. And it made me want to be like, well, I want to do both those things. I want to have high energy. I want people to dance, but I want to go and then I want to just bring it right back down. I want you to be like, whoa, the show is happening not only on the stage, this is happening in this room, you
Right.
know? And so you take so much sort of inspiration from all of that. But then even just like seeing like local shows and the way people will play to smaller crowds, like they're playing a stadium, it makes you go like, this is so amazing. There's so much you can do in building a show, which I kind of alluded to earlier. Like that's one of my favorite parts about making music is going, how's this going to translate live? Like, I don't want to just play song, 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 song. I want to go, well, how do we make this special live? How do we do this version live? How do we make this so it kind of feels like you're seeing something unique and is making you love this album in a different way? That's also like part of the craft to me.
It feels like when you, and I can say this for like all of the events that I've been to, because me and Usman both love our live music as well.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
actually how we met and became friends.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nice.
like, when you're buying, like somebody goes and buys a ticket to anybody's show, it's like you're not just buying. I can pull it up on Spotify or Apple Music if I just want to listen to a song. But like when you go and you buy that, you are buying a ticket to the experiential piece of that.
Yeah.
It's not just the music.
Yeah, it's so cool, and I remember being every single time I played a show, I'm always like, "Oh God, you bought a ticket, like, I'm so sorry." Is like and like, I just like I'm like, "Why? Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you like?" I and but then I think that gets me so excited to be like, "Great, I want to perform and entertain in a way that makes you, like, laugh." Like, the band always laughs at me, like, I love doing different bits and jokes, like, and then it's fun too because I love talking, I love chatting, and I like being funny, and I like being silly. And then I'll be like, okay, great, this is heavier things.
Yeah.
And then it like brings it back down.
Right.
And everyone's like, this is the strangest guy. Like, this
We
makes
are on a
no
roller
sense.
coaster right
He's
now.
so
Yeah.
happy to be here, but he was so miserable making this music. Yeah.
Well, that's like the joy of it. It's translating, I feel
Yeah.
like, some of these deeper, heavier topics into something that people can look at and say, okay, well, now I've like transmuted this into something fun and that I can
Yeah.
laugh
Yeah.
at. And it's like less heavy. It still has depth to it, but it's not something that feels heavy. And I think that's
Yes.
like an incredible talent for you to have, truthfully.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
I think I love the connections. Like I think from like live shows, especially, is that you leave not only being able to see the artist that you paid a ticket for, but you leave meeting people who also bought tickets for the same live artists. So then now you're just building a bigger community around you of people who have similar tastes in music as you. You could go and discover new artists that you maybe never would have by yourself. And you're more willing to do so because you found this community, because you have this one connection of one artist you went to go see maybe like 2 years ago. And now you're just like, now we just travel across the country, going to shows, and you
Yeah.
start to hear this small little group. And it's lovely to see outside.
Yeah. It's wild. I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw Jake Minch, really, really wonderful songwriter, wonderful performer. I saw his show in LA over the summer, and as we were leaving, another like the person who was by me was like, "Oh my God, I went to your show at the Troubadour. How cool is it?" That I was like, "Oh my God, that was so sick."
That's
Like
insane.
that just like and it's like, well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We're both fans of this. Like, I mean it when I say I'm fans of other artists. And so then that was like really, really fun. And it'd be like, to be like, oh my God, like, thank you for, like, first of all, props to you. You're really
Yeah.
supporting. But also then to be like, oh my God, we have another thing in common. Like, so I know it's exciting. And just any in person sort of sharing of art is like, I don't know, there's nothing cooler than that.
I know.
Completely agree with that.
So,
There's something else that I wanted to speak to.
yeah.
Usman and I always cut each other off every single time. He's like, I have more to say. And I'm like, no, wait, my turn. Sorry, Us, love you. Something,
Go
because
ahead.
I know I'm the same way. I will forget this if I don't mention it to you now,
Oh, yeah.
but it was a good segue. So you have just like such insight to so many different things. I think you view things in like a very unique, interesting, insightful, deep way. And I know from looking at like your press kit, you did a TED Talk, I believe. And it was I feel like you're like, "Wait, I did that. I forgot."
No, I did do that. Yeah, I did.
And funny enough, so we are like the greater Philadelphia area based, both
No
of us.
way.
And
Mhm.
I saw that you did it in Philly.
It was in Philly.
Was it at
And
Temple?
Yeah.
I where was it?
Was it at Temple? No. I know
Not
have
Oh,
they have a
I don't
stage.
think
They have
so.
a stage.
you
Okay.
guys would know better. Not that
Like, I
it
have no
wasn't
idea.
memorable, but I don't recall.
I knew it was in Philadelphia. So
It was in Philly.
let's
I do know
start with
that.
that. That much I knew. But I kind of wanted to get your perspectives, and for anybody that's listening and like today is their first introduction to you and your work and who you are. What was that talk about? What did you want to impart on the people that were there listening that day?
Yeah. Well, do you know how stressed I am to remember what the talk was about right now? No,
It's so fine.
no. I remember. I remember it enough. I remember too. It was the day after I got my second dose of the COVID vaccine too.
God.
I remember being like looking at myself in the mirror and be like, dude, it's go time.
Mhm.
Like, you don't get, and we filmed that, and it was like a pre-taped thing. I think because it was COVID times, there was no audience. I remember, I think we filmed it like 7 a.m. too, which I know is hyping up that I'm usually good at that time, not that day, but
Not post-vaccine. Yeah.
not post-vaccine. I wrote in, I was in college at the time, and I talked a lot about how I felt like I gained a lot of control and responsibility and perspective of my life when I really stopped trying to go and look for that. And it was kind of as I was really starting to build stronger relationships and connections in terms of collaboration. And I think I was like, it feels really weird that you get sort of gain control by giving it away. Like, why is it that, like, when I'm trying to not be as hands-on with things and I hand it off to other people, do I feel like I know more what's going on? And I think the essence of a lot of what I felt at that time was like just trust of other people. It's one of the scariest things that you can do. But when you sort of prove trust to one another and you're on the same page, you just completely escalate the skill sets and what other people can do to help you. And it kind of feels like this is something bigger than me now. And I feel sort of like I am more grounded, oddly enough. And it kind of was an interesting contradiction. You're going to make me go back and watch that tonight and see what I said and see how much holds up in terms of my young adulthood here.
Your
Well,
youth.
that was young adulthood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite things I think I've ever done. It was so difficult to do, to one, really think critically about things, but then like memorize a talk. I think it was like 10 minutes, which was like decent. So I was really, really proud. I would love to do that again one day. I have so many ideas of things I'd love to talk about. So
I
thank you
think
for
it's so
looking at that.
crazy. It's so crazy that you talked about like how much comfort you get from being on the stage and how natural it is to you. But yet something like that could like,
Oh my gosh.
even, the nerves, I'm sure, just
Yeah.
like take over.
Yeah, I don't like improv. I like things to be rehearsed. Even
Yeah,
like as like, dance, you're like, I know the routine. Like I've
for
done
sure.
this many a times, or like I know these songs. I know how this is going. They're like, okay, great, like talk to us. What?
You're like, I'm good.
Oh, that's crazy. I remember when I think my friends came with me on that trip, and I remember just like saying it over and over in the car, and they're like, maybe you shouldn't learn, like, what you're talking about. But I was like, I'm so stressed that I'm going to go on some tangent because I mean, you've probably learned I can just talk.
Yeah.
So
We're the same way. We get it.
yeah, yeah. So that was really fun though.
I feel like
I
that's
got it.
what
I'm gonna go back and
happens
watch that.
with people that have a lot of passions and a lot of interests. It's very easy. I'm the same way where I'm like, I will start my sentence over here and then it's going to go all the way over here and then it'll drop down here and then it'll go up here. And like, I hope I can remember what I started this conversation
Yep.
about,
Or what the
but then I
question
don't.
was, or yeah, yeah,
Like, wait, what did you ask me again? I'm so sorry. I forgot.
yeah, yep, yep. That's something that we definitely have in common then.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like every artist we've spoken to so far has like the same wavelength. Like they go on that journeys like I think at different moments throughout each episode, they pause like, wait, what was the question? Where was I going with that? Would you ask me? And then they'll find it and then continue their answer. So
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. That's how a songwriter brain works.
Yeah.
Is great. Just going to keep trailing and trailing and trailing until, oh, I liked that. So that makes sense.
Not
Thank you.
linear thought.
Yeah. Thank you for making me feel very like grounded and like, well, you think that way for a reason.
Yes.
So I
We're
appreciate
here
that.
to validate that because
Great.
we're that way as well.
It needed you heard the album. You know I need validation. So thank you.
Here for you.
Yeah.
Great.
So looking forward, can you tell us, is there an artist that you would like to collaborate with? And that could be in the past or present. It could be for an album or at least just maybe one single that you like to work with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, get me in a room with Ryan Beatty and I'll sing whatever. Actually, I won't sing. He should sing. I'd love just to sit in the room. That would be amazing. That would be like a number one sort of thing for me. I think I would also this is like way out of caliber, but I would love to just watch the way Coldplay works and Chris Martin. I think that would be amazing to me. And then I also really love, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right, but Avery Cochran, maybe. She is an artist out of Seattle, which is where
Okay.
I'm from.
Yeah.
And she put out a song that I am obsessed with. And we DM'd the other day and I was like, you're just like amazing, by the way. And it's like, again, just watching people like have success and sort of that they've really, really worked so hard for. And so maybe next time I'm in Seattle, I'll say hey to her and we can talk music stuff.
Connect.
I think
Yeah.
that'd be really fun too.
You got to live your motto. It's like, you ask the question. Ask the question. You never know. She may say yes. Like,
Yeah.
why not? And
Yeah.
then all of a
You're
sudden,
never going to get it if you don't ask.
yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that we love to ask everybody on the show is kind of a two-part question. So the first part of the question is, what is one piece of advice that you have been given by anyone in your career, in your day-to-day personal life? One piece of advice that you would recommend to somebody that is kind of trying to follow in your footsteps, is trying to do this type of work. And on the flip side of that, what is a piece of advice that maybe you got or you heard somewhere that you said, I would never give that to somebody else?
Wow. That's such a good question.
This one trips people up sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that I think of is you've probably even gotten like a little bit of it, but I get told all the time to stop belittling myself and stop making like fun of myself and acting like I don't like, oh, you're like, I don't know, like, you know me. Like I always sort of go there and like that is so ingrained in me. I get told by a lot of people I trust to like, don't like, if you are not the person who believes in you the most, nobody like does.
Right.
So it's like that is something I've really had to work on to be like, nope, I deserve this space that I'm in. That is incredibly hard for me to say. Like just to be like, even though I booked this session, this person wanted to work with me, whatever, that thought will always be in the back of my mind of like, well, they could be working with anybody else. Like I'm taking time away from other people.
Yeah.
Like that is something that I think I've been told a lot because people love to read me to filth, which I'm really grateful for. And that's not sarcasm, but that is something that I think I would probably echo back to people is that you have to be the person and you try to avoid being cocky or overconfident. But there's a difference between that and actually just being like acting like you deserve to be where you are. Because that's not just, don't be acting like you deserve to be way not where you are of like, this is nothing for you, but being sort of confident in the space that you hold. And then I think the other part of your question, which we're talking about, I'll keep going and lose track of where we're going. Is advice that I've heard that I would never give sort of other people. I'll go to my manager brain for this one. I have heard to like when you're negotiating, a deal of any sort, a performance deal, a brand deal, anything like that, to like, okay, like what's appropriate for this? You should always do what's appropriate for you. It doesn't matter. Like, if you are like, great, this is what I charge for this, you can always be flexible on that. That's not saying, if this is a local business that you love and you want to support that, keep that in mind. But at the same time, kind of like the same thing of just know know your worth
Mhm.
too, because people also read into that. Ironic how I'm telling advice that I said I don't take. That's cool. I'm gonna think
That's
about that later.
I feel like that happens so frequently where people
That just hit me.
I'm guilty doing that too, where it's like you're very good at giving the advice, but sometimes when you have to take it yourself, you're like, I don't know about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just heard everybody listening go, this dude is contradicting himself
No.
so hard right now. Yikes.
That's
Definitely
so
not.
funny. But no,
But
yeah, it is very
that's the joy of kind of working both sides of being a musician and a manager is a lot of things I guess you'll end up telling them is like, oh, actually, I should think about that myself. I wish somebody would tell me that. So cool. You guys have given me a lot to think about. Thank you. I won't be sleeping tonight.
I want to say thank you, and I'm also sorry. I'm not
yeah.
really sure which side of the coin we land on there. But we like to
It's good.
have insightful conversations
Yes.
on the show, and I feel like half the time I feel like we're doing therapy in a
Mhm.
very fun, enjoyable way, but we get deep into it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot to do. I'm going to watch the TED Talk. I'm going to think about that. And I'm going to make sure the next music video I do is a lot more clear. Those are my takeaways?
yes, are you also
I'm
going to be
kidding. I'm kidding.
signing up for the 4 marathons, I think is the other
Yes. And do a quick marathon in between.
multiple marathons.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of course. Because that's what we do now.
And I think then we're perfect.
Great.
Then
Sounds
we've got
amazing.
everything just checked
Yeah.
off. But this was such a great conversation. Jake, thank you so, so much for joining us today. We love just to end the show typically with tell people where they can find you on socials, anything that you want to promote that you have coming up that will be out for people to listen to. Obviously, your newest album, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for having me. This has been so lovely, especially on the season premiere. What an honor.
Yes.
Yeah, Jake Brewer music on everything, and yeah, as you said, Kate, just put out an album. Nothing coming just yet. Give me a beat. Give me a beat before new stuff. But that album's still pretty fresh. I think you'll like it.
Absolutely. Well, we
Yes.
loved it, and we know that everybody in the audience listening will as well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks for joining.
All right. Thanks.